Chapter 63. A Drop of Water. Scarcely had Rochfort left before Madame Bonancieux returned. She found her ladyship with a smiling countenance. "Well," said the young woman, "what you feared has happened. This evening or tomorrow the cardinal will send for you." "How do you know that?" asked her ladyship. "I heard it from the lips of the messenger himself." "Come and sit down by me," said her ladyship. "But first let me be sure that no one overhears us." "And why all these precautions?" "You will soon know." Her ladyship arose, went to the door, opened it, looked along the corridor, and then came back and seated herself again by the side of Madame Bonancieux. "Then," she said again, "he played his part well." "Who did?" "He who introduced himself to the abbess as the envoy of the cardinal." "Was it then a part that he was playing?" "Yes, my child." "Then that man is not—" "That man," said her ladyship, dropping her voice, "is my brother." "Your brother!" exclaimed Madame Bonancieux. "Nobody knows this secret, my child. If you should entrust it to anybody in the world, I should be ruined, and you also, perhaps." "Oh, mon Dieu!" "Listen, this is what has taken place. My brother, who was coming to my aid, to take me away from here by force if necessary, met the cardinal's emissary, who was on his way to fetch me. He followed him. On arriving at a retired and solitary spot, he drew his sword and commanded the messenger to deliver him the papers which he carried. The messenger endeavoured to defend himself, and my brother slew him." "Oh!" said Madame Bonancieux, shuddering. "There was no alternative, remember. My brother then determined to make use of craft instead of force. He took the papers, presented himself here as the emissary of the cardinal himself, and in an hour or two a carriage will come to take me away in his eminence's name." "I understand it is your brother who will send this carriage." "Of course. But that is not all. This letter, which you have received, and which you believe to be from Madame Chevreuse, well, is a forgery." "What?" "Yes, a forgery. It is a snare, that you may make no resistance when they come to fetch you." "But it is D'Artagnan who will come." "Undeceive yourself. D'Artagnan and his friends are at the siege of La Rochelle." "How do you know that?" "My brother met with some of the cardinal's agents, disguised in the uniform of musketeers. They were to call you out to the gate. You would have believed that you were in the company of friends, and they were to carry you off and convey you to Paris." "Oh, my God, my head falls in the midst of such a chaos of inquisities. I feel that if it lasts long," said Madame Bonancieux, putting her hands to her head, "I shall go mad. Listen, I hear the step of a horse. It is that of my brother who's going away. I must take a last farewell of him. Come." Her ladyship opened the window and made a sign to Madame Bonancieux to join her. The young woman joined her, and Rochfort passed by at a gallop. "Good-bye, brother," said her ladyship. The chevalier raised his head, saw the two young women, and as he went rapidly past, made a friendly farewell salute with his hand. "That kind George," said she, closing the window, with an expression of countenance full of affection and melancholy. She then returned and sat down in her place, as though plunged in reflections of a personal kind. "Dear lady," said Madame Bonancieux, "pardon me for interrupting you, but what do you advise me to do? You have more experience than I have. Speak, and I'll listen." "In the first place," said her ladyship, "I might possibly be deceived, and D'Artagnan and his friends may really be coming to your assistance." "Oh, that would be too fortunate," said Madame Bonancieux, "and I fear that so much happiness is not reserved for me." "Then, do you see, it would be merely a question of time, a kind of race as to which would arrive first. If it should be your friends who made best haste, why then you would be saved. But if it were the cardinal's satellites, then you would be ruined." "Oh, yes, yes, ruined without mercy. But what must I do? What must I do?" "There is one very simple and very natural plan." "And what is that? Tell me." "It would be to wait, concealed in the neighborhood, and so to make yourself sure of who the men were who came to seek you." "But where can I wait?" "Oh, that's not a matter of difficulty. I myself must wait, and conceal myself at a few leagues' distance from here, until my brother comes to meet me. Well, then I will take you with me. We will hide and wait together." "But I should not be allowed to leave this place. I'm almost regarded as a prisoner here. As it is supposed that I leave on account of an order from the cardinal, it will not be believed that you are very anxious to follow me." "Well, very well. The carriage being at the door, you will bid me adieu, and you will get upon the steps to embrace me for the last time. My brother's servant, who is coming to fetch me, being forewarned, will give a signal to the postilion, and we shall set off at full gallop. But D'Artagnan, if he should come, shall we not know it? How? Nothing is more easy. We will send this servant of my brother's, in whom I have told you that I have the greatest confidence, back to Bethune, and he shall disguise himself and find a lodging opposite the convent. If it should be the cardinal's emissaries who come, he will not stir. If it should be Monsieur d'Artagnan and his friends, he will lead them to where we are." "He knows them, then?" "Certainly. Has he not seen Monsieur d'Artagnan at my house?" "Oh, yes, you're right. Then all will go on well, but do not let us get too far away from here." 7 or 8 leagues at the most. We will keep upon the frontiers, and upon the first alarm quit France." "What must we do in the meantime?" "Wait. But if they should come? My brother's carriage will arrive before them. Suppose I should be away from you when it arrives, at dinner or at supper, for example." "Tell our good abbess that in order that we may be as little apart as possible, you will request her to allow you to take your meals with me. Will she permit it? What objection can there be to it? Go down now to her and make your request. I feel my head a little heavy, and I shall take a turn in the garden." "And where may I see you again?" "Here in 1 hour from this time." "Here in 1 hour? Oh, you're very kind, and I thank you." "How should I avoid being interested in you? Even if you had not been beautiful and charming, are you not the friend of one of my best friends?" "Dear D'Artagnan, oh, how you'll thank you!" "I hope so. Come, it's all arranged. Let us go down." "You are going to the garden? Proceed along this corridor. A little staircase leads you to it." "Good, thank you." And the two ladies separated, exchanging charming smiles. Her ladyship had spoken the truth. Her head was heavy, for her projects, badly arranged, clashed against each other as in chaos. She had need to be alone, that she might put a little order into her ideas. She saw dimly into the future, but it required some moments of silence and tranquillity to give to this confused assemblage of conceptions a definite form and a decided plan. What was now most urgent was to carry off Madame Bonancieux and put her in a place of security, and then, should her game fail, to use her as hostage. Her ladyship began to dread the issue of this terrible duel in which her enemies were quite as persevering as she was herself unrelenting. Besides, she felt, as one feels the approach of the storm, that the issue was near and would not fail to be fearful. The principal point for her was, as we have said, to get possession of Madame Bonancieux. By this means she would hold in her hands the life of D'Artagnan, or even more than his life, for she would hold that of the woman that he loved. In case of unprosperous fortune, it was a means of opening negotiations and of securing favorable terms. Now it was certain that Madame Bonancieux would follow her without distrust, and let Madame Bonancieux be but once concealed with her at Armentières, it would be easy to make her believe that D'Artagnan had never visited Bethune. In a fortnight at most, Rochefort would return. During that time she would meditate on what she must do to avenge herself on the 4 friends. She should not be impatient, for she should have the sweetest occupation that events can ever give to a woman of her character, a hearty vengeance to complete. Whilst thus meditating, she cast her eyes around her, and mapped out in her mind the topography of the garden. Her ladyship was like a good general who foresees at the same time both victory and defeat, and who is quite ready, according to the chances of the battle, either to advance or to retire. At the expiration of an hour, she heard a soft voice calling her. It was that of Madame Bonancieux. The good abbess had consented to everything, and to begin they were just about to sup together. On entering the court they heard the sound of a carriage which was stopping at the gate. Her ladyship listened. "Do you hear?" said she. "Yes, the rolling of a carriage. It is that which my brother sends for us. Oh, mon Dieu! Come, have courage." There was a ring at the convent gate. Her ladyship was not mistaken. "Go up to your room," said she to Madame Bonancieux. "You must have some trinkets that you would like to carry with you." "I have D'Artagnan's letters," replied she. "Well, go for them and come back to me in my room. We will sup hastily, for as we shall perhaps have to travel a part of the night, we must recruit our strength." "Great God!" said Madame Bonancieux, placing her hands upon her heart. "I'm choking. I cannot walk." "Courage, come, take courage. Think that in a quarter of an hour you will be safe, and think that what you are about to do is done for his sake." "Oh, yes, yes, all for him. You've restored my courage by that single word. Go, I'll rejoin you." Her ladyship went hastily up to her own room, where she found Roquefort's valet and gave him his instructions. He was to wait for her at the gate if by chance the musketeers should arrive. He was to go off at a gallop, make the circuit of the convent, and wait for her at a little village, which was situated on the other side of the wood. In that case, her ladyship would walk through the garden and reach the village on foot. We have already said that she was perfectly well acquainted with this part of France. If the musketeers should not make their appearance, everything would be conducted as though previously arranged. Madame Bonancieux was to get into the carriage on the pretext of wishing her once more adieu, and she would then escape with her. Madame Bonancieux came in, and, to remove all suspicion, if she had any, the ladyship repeated the valet in her presence the latter part of his instructions. Her ladyship then made some inquiries about the carriage. It was a chaise drawn by 3 horses and driven by a postilion. The valet was to precede it as a courier. Her ladyship was altogether wrong in fearing that the suspicion troubled Madame Bonancieux. The poor young woman was too honest herself to suspect another of so black a perfidy. Besides, the name of Lady de Winter, which she had heard mentioned by the abbess, was entirely unknown to her, and she had not imagined that a woman had performed so large and fatal a part in bringing about the misfortunes of her life. "You see," said her ladyship when the valet had left the room, "that everything is ready. The abbess has not the slightest suspicion, and fully believes that I am sent for by the cardinal. The man has gone out to give his final orders. Eat something, however little, drink a thimbleful of wine, and let us be off." "Yes," said Madame Bonancieux mechanically. "Yes, let us be off." Her ladyship made a sign to sit down, poured out for her a small glass of Spanish wine, and helped her to a part of the breast of a chicken. "There," said she, "everything is propitious. Here is the night approaching. At daybreak we shall have reached his retreat, and no one will suspect where we are. Come, have courage and take something." Madame Bonancieux ate 2 or 3 mouthfuls, mechanically, and just put her lips to the wine. "Come, come," said her ladyship, lifting her own glass toward her mouth. "Do as I do." But at the moment she was about to drink, her head was suddenly arrested. Her ears caught the distant sound of an approaching gallop on the road, and then almost at the same instant she seemed to hear the neighing of horses. This sound destroyed her exultation, as the uproar of a storm awakens from a delightful dream. She grew pale and ran to the window, whilst Madame Bonancieux, who had got up, trembled so as to be obliged to support herself with a chair for fear of falling. Nothing had become yet visible, but the galloping was more distinctly heard. "Oh, my God," said Madame Bonancieux, "what can that noise be?" "That of our friends or our enemies," said her ladyship with a terrible composure. "Remain where you are, and I will go and ascertain." Madame Bonancieux remained standing, mute, motionless, and pale as a statue. The sound became more audible. The horses could not be more than 150 yards off, but were not yet visible on account of a turning in the road. Still, the noise was now so distinct that the number of the horses might have been counted by the clattering of their iron hooves. Her ladyship gazed with the most intense attention. There was just light enough to recognize those who were approaching. Suddenly, at the turn of the road, she saw the glitter of laced hats and the waving of plumes. She counted 2, then 5, then 8 horsemen. One of them was 2 lengths in advance of his companions. Her ladyship gave utterance to a howl, and the foremost rider she recognized D'Artagnan. "Oh, mon Dieu!" exclaimed Madame Bonancieux. "What is the matter?" "It is the uniform of the Cardinal's guards. There's not a moment to be lost," exclaimed her ladyship. "Let us fly, let us fly." Yes, let us fly," repeated Madame Bonancieux, but without the power of moving one step, rooted as she was to the place by terror. The horsemen were heard passing under the window. Come along," said her ladyship, endeavoring to drag the young woman by the arm. "Thanks to the garden, we may yet escape, for I have got the key. But let us make haste. In less than 5 minutes it will be too late." Madame Bonancieux attempted to walk, but after taking 2 steps, fell upon her knees. Her ladyship attempted to lift her up and carry her, but she found herself unable. At this moment they heard the wheels of the carriage, which, on the appearance of the musketeers, went off at a gallop, and then 3 or 4 shots resounded. "For the last time, will you come?" exclaimed her ladyship. "Oh, my God, you see that my strength's all gone. You see that I cannot walk. Fly and save yourself." "Fly alone? Leave you here? No, never!" exclaimed her ladyship. Suddenly a livid lightning flashed from her eyes. She ran to the stable and poured into Madame Bonancieux's glass the contents of the hollow part of a ring, which she opened with singular dexterity. It was a red particle which was immediately dissolved. Then, taking the glass with a firm hand, "Drink," said she hastily. "This wine will give you strength. Drink." She put the glass to the lips of the young woman, who drank mechanically. "Ah, it was not thus that I wished to avenge myself," said her ladyship, putting the glass upon the table with an infernal smile. "But, faith, we must do the best we can," and she rushed out of the room. Madame Bonancieux saw her escape without being able to follow her. She was like those who dream that they are pursued, yet feel a perfect inability to move. A few minutes elapsed, and then a frightful noise was heard at the gate. At every instant Madame Bonancieux expected to see the reappearance of her ladyship, but she did not return. Many times, from terror no doubt, the cold drops stood upon her burning brow. At length she heard the rattling of the grated doors which were being opened. The noise of boots and spurs resounded on the stairs, and there was a loud murmur of many approaching voices, in the midst of which she fancied she heard her own name mentioned. Suddenly she uttered a loud scream of joy and rushed toward the door. She had recognized the voice of D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan, she exclaimed. "Is it you here?" Constance, replied the young man. "Mon Dieu, where are you?" At the same moment the door of the cell was burst in rather than opened. Many men rushed into the room. Madame Bonancieux had fallen on a chair without the power of motion. D'Artagnan cast away his still smoking pistol, which he held in his hand, and fell upon his knees before his mistress. Athos replaced his pistol in his belt, and Porthos and Aramis returned the swords which they had drawn into their sheaths. "Oh, D'Artagnan, my beloved D'Artagnan, you come at last! You did not deceive me, it is really you." Yes, Constance, we are at last united." "Oh, she told me in vain that you would never come. I always secretly expected it. I did not wish to fly. Oh, how wisely I've chosen, how happy I am." At this word she, Athos, who had quietly sat down, suddenly arose. "She? Who is she?" demanded D'Artagnan. "Why, my companion, she who, through affection for me, wished to withdraw me from my persecutors. She who, taking you for the cardinal's guards, has just fled." "Your companion!" exclaimed D'Artagnan, becoming paler than the white veil of his mistress. "Of what companion are you talking?" "Of her whose carriage was at the door. Of a woman who called herself your friend, D'Artagnan. Of a woman to whom you confided all our secrets. Her name, exclaimed D'Artagnan. Do you not know her name? Yes, I do. They mentioned it before me. Wait, but it's very strange. Oh, my God, my head becomes confused. I cannot see anything. Come here, my friends, come here. Her hands are icy, exclaimed D'Artagnan. She's very ill. Great God, she's becoming unconscious. Whilst Porthos was calling for help with all the power of his lungs, Aramis ran for a glass of water, but he stopped on beholding the fearful alteration in the countenance of Athos, who was standing before the table with his hair on end, and his features frozen with terror, looking into one of the glasses, and seeming to be a prey to the most horrible suspicion. "Oh," said Athos, "oh, no, it's impossible. Such a crime would not be permitted by the Almighty." Some water, cried D'Artagnan, some water. "Oh, poor woman, murmured Athos in a faltering voice. Madame Bonancieux opened her eyes once more at the caresses of D'Artagnan. "She's recovering her senses," exclaimed the young man. "Oh, my God, I thank thee." "Madam," said Athos, "in the name of heaven, to whom does this empty glass belong?" "To me, sir," replied the young woman in a failing voice. "But who poured out the wine which it contained?" "She did." "But who is she?" "Ah, I remember now," said Madame Bonancieux. "Lady de Winter." The four friends uttered one unanimous cry, but the voice of Athos overpowered all the others. At the same moment, Madame Bonancieux became livid. A deadly spasm assailed her, and she fell panting into the arms of Porthos and Aramis. D'Artagnan grasped the hands of Athos in indescribable anguish. "Ah," said she, "what do you believe?" His voice was choked by sobs. "I believe the worst," replied Athos, biting his lips until they bled. "D'Artagnan!" exclaimed Madame Bonancieux. "Where are you? Don't leave me. You see that I'm about to die." D'Artagnan let go of the hands of Athos, which he had pressed compulsively, and ran to her. Her countenance, before so beautiful, was now entirely distorted. Her glassy eyes no longer saw. A convulsive shuddering agitated her whole frame, and icy drops were streaming from her brow. "In the name of heaven, run! Aramis, Porthos, and obtain some assistance." "All is useless," said Athos, "all is useless. To the poison which she pours there's no antidote." Yes, help, murmured Madame Bonancieux. Then, collecting all her strength, she took the hand of the young man between her two hands, looked at him for an instant as though her whole soul were in that last look, and with a sobbing cry she pressed her lips upon his. "Constance, Constance!" exclaimed D'Artagnan. One sigh came from her lips, breathing over those of D'Artagnan, and that sigh was the passage of her loving soul to eternity. D'Artagnan held only a lifeless body in his arms. He uttered a cry and fell beside his mistress, as pale and motionless as herself. Porthos wept. Aramis raised his hands to heaven. Athos crossed himself. At that moment a man appeared at the door, almost as pale as those who were in the chamber. He looked around him and saw Madame Bonancieux dead and D'Artagnan unconscious. He entered just as the moment of that stupor which succeeds great catastrophes. "I was not mistaken," said he. "That is Monsieur D'Artagnan, and you are his three friends, Messieurs Athos, Porthos, and Aramis." They whose names had been pronounced looked at the stranger with astonishment, and all thought that they recognized him. "Gentlemen," said the newcomer, "you, like myself, are seeking a woman who," added he with a terrible smile, "must have been present here, for I see a dead body." The three friends remained speechless, but the voice, as well as the countenance, recalled to their memory someone they had previously seen, although they could not recollect under what circumstances. "Gentlemen," continued the stranger, "since you will not recognize a man whose life you have probably twice saved, I must needs give you my name. I'm Lord de Winter, the brother-in-law of that woman." The three friends uttered an exclamation of surprise. Athos arose and offered him his hand. "Welcome, my lord," said he. "You're one of us." "I left Portsmouth 5 hours after her," said Lord de Winter. "Reached Boulogne 3 hours after her. I only missed her by 20 minutes at Saint-Omer, but here at Saint-Leliers I lost all trace of her. I wandered about at chance, inquiring of everybody. When I saw you pass at a gallop, I recognized Monsieur d'Artagnan and called out to you. But you did not answer me. I attempted to keep up with you, but my horse was too tired to go at the same pace as yours did. And yet, in spite of all your haste, it seems that you also have arrived too late." "The proof is before you," said Athos, pointing to Madame Bonancieux, who was lying dead, and to D'Artagnan, whom Porthos and Aramis were endeavoring to restore to consciousness. "Are they both dead?" demanded Lord de Winter coldly. "No, happily," replied Athos. "Monsieur d'Artagnan has only fainted." "Ah, so much the better," said Lord de Winter. In fact, at that moment, D'Artagnan opened his eyes. He tore himself from the arms of Porthos and Aramis, and threw himself like a madman on the body of his mistress. Athos arose, walked toward his friend with a slow and solemn step, embraced him tenderly, and then, whilst D'Artagnan broke out into sobs, said to him in his noble and persuasive tones, "My friend, be a man. Women weep for the dead, men avenge them." "Oh, yes, yes," cried D'Artagnan. "If it be to avenge her, I'm ready to follow you." Athos took advantage of this momentary strength, which the hope of vengeance had given to his unfortunate friend, to make a sign to Porthos and Aramis to fetch the abbess. The two friends met her in the corridor, already much confounded and disturbed by so many events. She called some of the sisters who, contrary to their conventual habits, found themselves in the presence of 5 men. "Madam," said Athos, putting his arm under that of D'Artagnan, "we leave to your pious care the body of this unfortunate woman. She was an angel upon earth before she became a saint in heaven. Treat her as if she had been one of your sisters. We will return some day to pray for her soul." D'Artagnan hid his face against Athos's breast and sobbed violently. "Weep," said Athos, "weep, heart full of love and youth and life. Alas, would that I could weep as you do." And he led his friend away, affectionately as a father, consolingly as a priest, and firmly as a man who had himself suffered much. All 5, followed by their servants leading their horses, then went toward the town of Bethune, where the suburbs were within sight, and they stopped at the first hotel they found. "But," asked D'Artagnan, "are we not going to follow that woman?" "By and by," said Athos, "but I have some preparations to make." "She will escape," said the young man. "She will escape, Athos, and it will be your fault." "I will answer for her," said Athos. D'Artagnan had such perfect confidence in his friend's promise that he bowed his head and entered the hotel without making the least reply. Porthos and Aramis looked at each other, at a loss to understand the meaning of Athos. Lord de Winter thought that he sought only to soothe the grief of D'Artagnan. "Now, gentlemen," said Athos, whom he had ascertained that there were 5 unoccupied chambers in the hotel, "let each of us retire to his room. D'Artagnan ought to be alone to weep, and you to sleep. I take charge of everything. Make yourselves perfectly easy." "It appears to me, however," said Lord de Winter, "that if any measures are to be taken against the Countess, the concern is mine, seeing that she is my sister-in-law. And," said Athos, "she is my wife." D'Artagnan started, for he was satisfied that Athos was sure of his revenge to reveal such a secret. Porthos and Aramis looked at one another in consternation, and Lord de Winter thought that Athos had gone mad. "Retire, then," said Athos, "and leave me to act. You see that, in my capacity of husband, this affair belongs to me. Only, D'Artagnan, if you have not lost it, give me that paper which fell from the man's hat, and on which the name of a village is written." "Ah," cried D'Artagnan, "I understand. That name is written in her hand." "You see," said Athos, "that there is still a God in heaven."